If you're constantly getting injured at running and you just can't get rid of those niggles that are preventing you from really progressing in running, then in this video I'm going to reveal my 4-step plan that'll get you back running injury free. And who doesn't want that? Hey, it's Coach Mark here from Mistertriathlon, helping you to progress faster in triathlon. I will start with a caveat that if it is quite a serious injury, then please do get yourself checked out by a medical professional. Sometimes we get pain when we're running, and yeah, you need to take that really seriously and get it checked out. But if it's some kind of like niggle or tightness or some tendon problem or something like that that's just a bit painful, then following this process is going to get you running injury free. I've used this process with loads of athletes to get them all back running injury free. It's so frustrating, and I was the same when I started running. It's so frustrating when you keep picking up niggles and you just can't keep going. And if you remember Einstein's phrase, the definition of kind of stupidity or insanity, whichever is your preference, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So following this plan will get you back to running injury free. Step 1 is a really good warm-up. So the purpose of a warm-up is to prepare you for the main set of running. Elevate the heart rate, get the blood pumping around the body and get the muscles nice and loose. If you do some good dynamic exercises that target the really good running muscles, like the glutes, the hamstrings, the hip flexors, and get them all warmed up, you're more likely to recruit them when you run. And if you recruit them when you're running, then you're going to have better posture, better technique, and lessen the likelihood that you're going to get injured. If you think about it, when you're running, you're going to take thousands of steps every single time you go out for a run, and if you do each one of those with poor technique, that's going to increase the risk of you getting yourself injured. So the more you can run with better technique and get warmed up properly is the first step to really get back to running injury free. So the second step is to look at technique. And a big one from technique is cadence. And if you can really nail the cadence, this can have a big impact on your ability to get injured. If you've got a high cadence, and by cadence I mean the number of steps that you take per minute, and if you're north of 170, for example, then you're going to take smaller, more efficient steps. Whereas if you've got a really low cadence, say like 130s, 140s, you can have big bounding steps while you're running. And if you take big bounding steps while you're running, that means that every single time you hit the ground, you're going to create large forces on your body that shoot back up into your leg muscles, and that's going to increase the risk of getting injured. One of the best ways that you can improve your own cadence is by downloading one of these metronome apps on your smartphone and setting it to 180 beats per minute, for example. And then you can just set it to that, beep, 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 and then just practice it jumping 2-footed on the spot in time with that cadence. And then you can do hopping, so do some on one foot, swap to the other foot, etc., and just keep swapping. And that builds up strength and also that muscle memory of that cadence. So when you go out for a run, you have much more improved cadence. Then you can build up to say 5 times 1 minute at that cadence before you actually go out for a run. And then that muscle memory is there in your brain. When you go for a run, you might have to keep reminding yourself of it. You can even stop halfway through a run, put the metronome app down, set it for another minute, jump on the spot to that cadence, and then it's dialed into your brain again. And then when you carry on running, you're back at that cadence. And over time, that'll just become embedded into your running, and you'll lessen the chance of getting injured because you've got a much more efficient running technique. One thing to pay attention to do when you do your hopping and jumping drills is that when you keep to this 180 cadence, you don't keep the heel elevated. I've seen a lot of people who do this drill and they bounce on the toes and they keep the heel off the ground. What that'll do is it'll put a lot of strain on the calf. What you want to do is let the heel kiss the ground. So instead of keeping the heel elevated, every single time you're doing 180 jumps per minute, you let the heel kiss the ground. So not smack into the ground, because obviously that would hurt, but just let it kiss the ground so that you're relaxing the calf and keeping that really good technique. So the third part is, now that you've warmed up and you're ready to go, is to make sure that you keep the running nice and easy. I know it may sound really obvious, but easy running is a lot less stress in your body. And one of the key things here is to keep the running easy, but also stop before you get injured. A lot of times what I see when people are returning to running is they go out for a run, everything feels great, and then when it hurts again, they stop and walk back. And you can do that, but then what that's done, that's aggravated the injury, and it takes a lot longer to then recover. So the best way for me is to stop before you get injured. And even if you do a couple of minutes worth of running, so you might do a minute of running with some walking, minute of running with some walking, stop there, walk home, do your stretching. That means you'll be much more recovered next time you come to do your next run. If you then run and you aggravate that injury you're going to feel really disappointed. You're going to feel like you're back to square one, it's hurting again, you have to take longer before you can get back to doing your next run, and it all gets really frustrating. So even if you're doing a little bit, always stop before you get injured. And then the next time you go out for a run, do the same workout again, because you know you can do that without getting injured. And then just build it up very slowly, even if it's 1.5 minutes of running with some recovery, 1.5 minutes with some recovery. But just take it nice and easy and stop before you get injured. And the fourth and final point of my plan is to have a really good cool down. So not everybody believes in stretching, but if you're getting injured, then I think it's really good to do some stretching. Could be dynamic, could be the same set of dynamic stretching that you do as you warm up, or static stretching is brilliant here for lengthening the muscles back out and really starting to promote that recovery. If you do this, you'll recover much faster, and then when you come to do your next run, you're nice and fresh again, so you've got a less chance of getting injured in your next run. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you find it really useful, and good luck with your running. Please do subscribe below, and then you'll get notified when future videos come out, and I hope you follow the plan and get back to running injury free.